Ever feel like you're just dragging through the day, you know, relying on endless cups of coffee just to function?
Oh, tell me about it. We've all been there.
Well, today's deep dive is all about unlocking the power of something we all crave but so often sacrifice.
Let me guess. Sleep.
You got it. We're diving into this Healthline article, 10 top benefits of getting more sleep. And trust me, some of this stuff is truly surprising.
Oh, I bet. People underestimate sleep. It's way more than just downtime, even though it's easy to think of it like that.
Exactly. So the article jumps right into the connection between sleep and weight management. And I gotta admit, this one really threw me for a loop.
Right. You'd think burning the midnight oil would mean burning more calories, but
That's what I always thought.
turns out it's kind of the opposite. The article highlights this link between short sleep, less than 7 hours, and a higher risk of, get this, weight gain and a higher BMI.
Okay, so how much higher are we talking here?
Get this. Adults who consistently sleep less than 7 hours, 41% more likely to develop obesity. Wild, right?
41%. That's huge. What's the deal there?
Yeah.
Why does less sleep seem to equal, well, more of us?
Well, think about it this way. Your body relies on this whole balance of hormones to tell you when you're hungry and when you're full.
Right, makes sense.
And two of the big players here are ghrelin, which is basically your brain saying, feed me, and leptin, which is more like, okay, I'm good.
Okay, so where does sleep fit into all of this?
Well, when you're sleep deprived, those signals get all out of whack. The article says that not getting enough sleep makes your ghrelin go into overdrive, but then at the same time, it messes with your leptin, like suppresses it. It's like your body is working against you. It makes you feel hungry even when you're not really.
Wow, no wonder we reach for those late night snacks.
Yeah.
And to make matters worse, we all know that being exhausted absolutely kills your motivation to exercise.
Oh, 100%. It turns into this bad cycle. Poor sleep, unhealthy habits, more sleep problems, and on and on.
It's not just about willpower then, is it? It's like our bodies are literally wired to crave junk food and skip the gym when we haven't slept enough.
Exactly. And it doesn't stop there. The article talks about how sleep impacts our brain power, too.
Oh, tell me more about this. This is something I'm always trying to get better at. Focus, productivity, all that.
Think of sleep as your brain's chance to hit the save button on all the stuff you've been doing all day, learning, experiencing, all of it. During sleep, that's when your brain gets busy processing information, laying down those memories, making all those connections stronger.
So when we cut sleep short, we're basically interrupting that crucial saving process.
Exactly. And without enough sleep, all that info you took in gets all fragmented, disorganized. Imagine trying to open up a file on your computer and it's like corrupted. You know it's there, bud.
But you can't access it.
Exactly.
That's a great analogy. And it's not just about remembering facts and figures, right?
Yeah.
This has to impact our ability to, think clearly, make good decisions.
100%. And there was this study mentioned in the article about overworked doctors.
Oh, no. What happened?
Well, they found that those doctors who were seriously sleep deprived, they were way more likely to make big medical errors. Like serious stuff.
Wow, that's pretty scary. It really makes you think, if those responsible for life or death decisions are that impacted by lack of sleep, what about the rest of us? Even if the stakes aren't quite as high.
Exactly. It affects everything. Your work, your relationships, just getting through the day.
Okay, so we've covered weight and brain power, but it sounds like this is just scratching the surface when it comes to the benefits of a good night's sleep.
Oh, there's so much more. Like this whole connection between your sleep and your heart is pretty fascinating.
Really? See, that's not something I've ever really connected before. Tell me more. Heart health and sleep. Okay, I'm all ears. What's the connection?
Well, remember how we were talking about those hormone things that happen when you don't get enough sleep? Turns out it's not just your appetite that gets messed up. It can really do a number on your heart, too.
Really?
Yeah.
I had no clue there was such a strong link between the two.
Yeah, it's a newer area of research, but this article brings up this pretty shocking stat. If you're constantly getting less than 7 hours, it's linked to a 13% higher risk of dying from heart disease.
13%? That's a lot. We're not exactly talking about something rare here. Heart disease is like a leading cause of death everywhere.
Exactly. And the article goes on to say it's not even just about your genes or how you live, although those obviously matter too. It seems like when you're chronically sleep deprived, your body goes into this state of constant low-grade inflammation.
Inflammation. Okay, we hear that word a lot, but remind me why it's so bad again.
So in small doses, inflammation is actually a good thing. It's how your body protects itself, from injuries, infections, all that. But when it's chronic, which is what happens when you don't sleep enough, it starts to cause damage to your arteries. And that's when you get into trouble, higher risk of heart attack, stroke, all sorts of nasty stuff.
So basically, not getting enough sleep is like setting the stage for this whole cascade of bad things, including a heart attack.
Pretty much. And it's not just heart disease either. This chronic inflammation thing has also been connected to a higher risk for type 2 diabetes and even Alzheimer's.
It's kind of mind-blowing when you think about it, how something as simple as getting enough sleep can have such a ripple effect on, well, everything.
It really shows you how interconnected our bodies are and how vital sleep is for keeping everything in balance. But hold on, because there's another big connection the article talks about that I think you'll find interesting. Sleep and your immune system.
Oh, that's something I've definitely noticed in my own life. Like, if I'm exhausted, I feel like I'm way more likely to get sick.
You're definitely onto something. The article mentions the study where people who slept less than 5 hours a night were more than 4 times more likely to catch a cold compared to the people who got a solid 7 hours.
4 times. Seriously.
Yeah.
So you're telling me a good night's sleep is like a superpower for your immune system?
Well, think of it this way. Your immune system, it's like this army of cells working all the time to keep you healthy. But just like any army, they need their rest.
Makes sense.
So if you're not sleeping enough, your immune system is basically running on fumes, making you way more vulnerable to any virus or bacteria that comes along.
Okay, that's kind of terrifying, and it makes perfect sense. And it's not even just about getting sick, is it? Didn't the article say something about sleep and how well vaccines work?
It did. It suggests that getting enough sleep might even make vaccines, including the COVID-19 vaccine, more effective.
Wow, I had no idea about that. So not only does enough sleep help you avoid getting sick in the first place, but it might also help your body fight back harder if you do get sick. This is incredible.
Right. It really just goes to show you how powerful sleep is for your entire body, including how well it can fight off illness. But it's not just about our physical health. We can't forget about our mental well-being either. Because let's face it, if you're struggling mentally, it's almost impossible to get a good night's sleep. And on the other hand, if you're not sleeping enough, it can really do a number on your mental state.
Oh, I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
I've definitely noticed that connection myself. When I'm sleep deprived, I'm way more irritable. My fuse is so much shorter. Everything seems to set me off.
You're not alone. Consistently not getting enough sleep has been linked to a higher chance of dealing with things like depression and anxiety. Which makes sense when you think about it.
It does. When you're exhausted, it's like everything just feels harder. Like you're seeing the world through this gray filter, and it takes so much more energy just to deal with the smallest things.
You said it. And it can easily turn into this vicious cycle because when you're that tired, it's harder to control your emotions, react normally in social situations. You're just not yourself.
100%. You're more likely to snap at people. You're less patient, let's be honest. Probably not that much fun to be around.
Exactly. And then that puts a strain on your relationships, leads to more stress and anxiety, which just messes with your sleep even more. It's this whole self-perpetuating cycle that can be really tough to get out of.
So it's not even just about us and our own mental health. It affects everyone around us, too.
Yep. It's a ripple effect for sure. And speaking of ripple effects, the article goes on to highlight some pretty serious consequences of sleep deprivation, especially when it comes to things like driving, operating machinery, even just walking down a busy street.
Oh, you're talking about drowsy driving. That's something I've always been terrified of, especially after a long day or a late night.
You and me both.
Yeah.
And the article makes a pretty intense comparison. It says that being severely sleep deprived can be just as bad as driving drunk.
Wait, for real? I knew drowsy driving was bad, but I had no idea it was on par with driving under the influence. That's terrifying. Tell me more about what the article said. Drowsy driving being as bad as drunk driving. I mean, that's a pretty serious claim. What did they say to back that up?
Well, they're saying that when you're sleep deprived, it's a lot like being drunk in that it messes with your judgment, slows down how fast you react, makes you more likely to take risks when you're behind the wheel.
Yeah, that makes sense, actually.
And get this, they actually cited some stats from the CDC, and apparently a full 1 in 25 drivers say they've actually fallen asleep at the wheel.
1 in 25. I'm actually surprised it's not higher after learning all this. But still, that's a scary thought. Really makes you think twice about driving when you're tired.
For sure. It's like a wake-up call. We got to treat being sleep deprived with the same seriousness as like drinking and driving.
Oh, totally. Because it's not just about us, right? It's about keeping everyone safe. This whole deep dive has really been eye-opening. It's like we wear being sleep deprived as a badge of honor sometimes, Oh, I only got 4 hours of sleep last night. I'm so busy and productive.
Right. Like it's a competition.
Exactly. But this really shows that We've got to flip that script and start treating sleep like the essential thing it is for our health, our well-being, everything.
Yeah, it's time to ditch this whole "I'll sleep when I'm dead" mentality. We just learned that if you're not getting enough sleep, you're not going to be functioning at your best in any area of your life.
So true. We're actually less productive, less focused, our emotions are all over the place,
Hmm.
and we could be putting ourselves and others at risk, all because we didn't get enough sleep. It's crazy.
It really is. And it's not even just about how much you sleep either. It's the quality of sleep you're getting, too.
Oh, for sure. There's so many things that play into that. I mean, stress, what you eat, what's going on around you, even just how you're feeling mentally.
Totally. And while that article we talked about had tons of great info, and it's a good place to start if you want to learn more about this whole sleep thing, really the most important thing is to listen to your body, see how you feel after you've slept a certain amount, or if you change up your sleep routine.
That's a great point. It's different for everyone. What works for one person might not work for another. We have to, like, pay more attention to what our bodies need and adjust our sleep to match.
Exactly. So play around with it a little, try going to bed a little earlier, see if changing your routine changes how you feel, your energy, your mood, how productive you are, even your relationships. You might be surprised at what just a little more sleep or even just better sleep can do.
It's like we need to start thinking of sleep as an investment, not something we have to do.
Love that. Investing in your health, happiness, relationships, even your safety.
This has really got me thinking, what if we all treating sleep like we treat diet and exercise? Like it was just an essential part of a healthy lifestyle.
Now you're talking. What if everyone tracked their sleep, made sure they had the best sleep environment, maybe even like compared how well they slept?
Imagine prioritizing 8 hours being just as much of a status symbol as, like, crushing it at the gym or cooking healthy meals.
Right.
Maybe if we all changed how we thought about sleep, the benefits would be huge, not just for ourselves, but for everyone. Fewer accidents, people will be healthier. Maybe we'd even be nicer to each other.
Now that would be amazing.
Maybe a whole new world, right?
It would.
Well, on that note, I think it's time to wrap up this deep dive.
I'm ready for a nap after all that.
Key too. But for now, if you're anything like me and you're ready to get some shut-eye after all this talk about sleep, we'll let you go. And for even more great insights about sleep and all sorts of other topics, check out that Healthline article we were talking about, 10 top benefits of getting more sleep. Until next time, sweet dreams, everyone.